Grüezi, and welcome back to another documentation episode of how I learned to Vibecode and what I'm learning in the process. So the past few times we started building the whole thing, and the next thing that I really struggled with was debugging. So today I want to talk a little bit about debugging and mainly like share one or two really good tips that I learned along the way so far that could have saved me a lot of time. So first is how to use developer tools in browser, and the second one is actually how to build that you have to debug less. When you have a bug, I had no idea where to start, so I would just be playing around on the local host, and then it didn't work. So I would just go to the agent and say, "Hey, this is not working. Can you help me? Look into this, analyze this, audit this whole process, blah, blah, blah." This usually led to the agent trying to do something. It went through the code base, but it was just generally searching. Now, a few months ago, this was actually worse. Right now, the agents are getting so much better that you can start do this again. But it's quite, error prone because they don't really know where to look at. Like, for instance, if you have an API like I did, they don't automatically see the error then, for instance, if they're testing, right? So what I was told was the best tip that I ever got is you have developer tools with AI assisted tips in Google Chrome. So how does it look like? So this is, let me take that aside. This is the Google Chrome browser, actually the one in anti-gravity directly. So it's the one where also the agent has access to. And when you play around with if you're on your local host of your app that you're trying, on top right here you have these three dots. You click on there, you have down here more tools, and then you see developer tools. If you click that, it opens the dev tools, the console. Now, where you have an error, it will list these things, or if you have an error in the console, which in the beginning will be the case usually, right? Yeah, because that's how you sort of build it. You won't have everything hidden and just in the back end. You see the console errors right away. Now, you can open these and just literally copy paste that into the text. Hey, I have an error. What could it be? This? Look into this. That could be the first thing. And then I got told that you can add the AI tools, like if you use Gemini anyway, and you have the Google suite with AI suite, you have this little bulb here, understand this error. And that was a massive game changer. So you click this, and then Gemini itself looks into the code, what it could be. So for instance here, it says it's a warning occurs because the page has cross-origin opener policy, header set to same origin or same original pubs, blah, blah, blah. And then it just goes on with verify. It usually gives suggestions how you could fix it with options and then a summary of what it is. And this has changed my entire coding so much. So when I had an error afterwards, you could just copy paste the whole entire thing into the chat. And I would usually tell the agent then something like, hey, I have this error that I found. The console says this, then I copy in the entire thing. Could it be this? Use above for your own audit to analyze the error. And in 70 or 80% of the cases, it would immediately find the right fix then afterwards, which is just amazing. And before that, it was just hours of hours just reiterating and trying to fix something, and usually it would introduce new bugs while doing that, right? So using these dev tools, especially with the AI support, has been the biggest game changer for me as a non-dev to build faster. So I can highly recommend you do that. By the way, this is Boot Dev. This is a coding school, so you can learn how to code for real. I learned Python with them, or I relearned Python with them again. So you can build it's just a gamification, and you build little tools and sort of like a game. It's very cool, so I can recommend it if you want to learn to code a little bit. Boot Dev is really cool. Not affiliated, just a cool initiative. Anyway, the second thing that I learned then afterwards was the way how you build can massively reduce the amount of bugs from the beginning, right? So if you, for instance, start with the test, you tell the agent like, okay, write the test first and then build the app, something like that. It will build the tests first, like the end-to-end tests, all the things that have to pass. And then it builds the app, and then it runs all the tests right away. And then you have like more and more a test suite. So by now I have like 148 tests, which are non-end-to-end plus integration paths. And I can run these all the time just to see like, that stuff is working, that I don't have failures and stuff. This is how you should do it. And over time, like you will build up these tests. And if you have like a new model and you just need a test to try something, you usually should build the test first and then build as little code as possible to fulfill that test. Now the agent sometimes is a bit a smart ass. So it tries to only sort of pass the test and not really do what you want to do, which is a legit reason, because it's the path of least resistance, which also means it could build something else entirely just to pass this test, but it doesn't really fix the original problem, which has happened before, but by now they're getting better, like especially like with the new Flash models and also like the Claude Sonnet 4 or Opus 4.6 that I have in the anti-gravity IDE. It's really good. Also like what Cursor does right now, like they're really good with this right now. So you don't really have that anymore. The third, then maybe I can add this, is you could create a skill and that is a tester. So before that you want to like finish something, the agent has its own skill. You can tell it like, hey, make a skill, and the skill should be a tester that searches for bugs and this sort of stuff. Or it could be a debugger, right? So you have like a debug diagnostic skill that you make, and you give it your orders, something like, don't just jump to a fix immediately. Like first explain what the error means, like then list likely root causes, then try to find evidence and confirm this. Then, once you have the root cause, like show the fix, and then, fix it and sort of like explain what would prevent this type of bugs in the future. And with this, you could then also make it like a bit more robust down the line, so that the agent learns not to repeat certain types of building over time. So the skill then has in it, sort of best practices that work for your app, something like that. That could also, I think, work very good. For me, the skills debugging has not proven that particularly useful. I go more with the console and directly then to code, which I sort of like works for me. But that could be really also a helpful tool. So that's basically the easiest way to debug, like if you're vibe coding something and if you're like completely stuck and it's just getting worse and worse. So like you probably have to take a step back, like go through the dev console or make your own skill and let it debug first before you continue building it. Because if you build upon errors, like this will like downstream, this will be horrible. So yeah, so that's it for today. I have nothing else to say. Thank you very much and see you next time. Bye.